All right, MA Marignon, turn 71. I think we've got 3 fort storms this turn at least. So, yeah, who knows what's going to happen. Definitely losing much easier than winning. Possibly more fun. Yeah, definitely less work. So, yeah, oh, right, our pretender last turn. He made a lich. Because, yeah, sure, why not? It's a lich in a different place. We also didn't particularly have anything for him to do with the other gems that we had. Continuing with our reanimation, we may need to go underwater. Mind Hunt, but it was resisted, so very sad about that. No magic resistance gear on those guys, but I guess they have decent magic resistance base. Dire Portent, that's not good. So, Utgard has managed to put up Illwinter. So, yeah, I mean, they've just been hanging on. You know, I kind of forgot. I mean, I knew they were in the game, but I guess I just didn't really think about them too much. So they figured, sure, why not? It probably overwrote, well, it could have overwrote our global, but there is Stellar Focus and Mother Oak, both of which probably have fewer gems in them than our globals. So I don't think this was the only Dire Portent. Yeah, so we have a Teleport, bringing in our Werewolves, Lesser Horror, another Dire Portent. Yep, Burden of Time. We don't love this one, but, you know, of the nasty things that the pop kill nations can do, this one is the less bad version. But as a nation of old dudes in robes, we don't love Burden of Time. So this is, again, part of why we attacked Asphodel. Yeah, we were dogpiling in, but if we didn't, then things like this were going to start happening. And lo and behold, here it is. So hopefully neither of those overwrote our global. We'll have to take a look at that after, you know, whatever other madness unfolds. But, yeah, as Dire Portents go, could have been worse. So our golem shouldn't care about morale, right? Like, that's not an issue for him. And there are quite a few sacreds here. But otherwise, like, again, not a massive army. So, you know, but we have a decent chance. We'll see. Hopefully we get a horror out. Yeah, unfortunately... Oh, there we go. Yeah, and we really want our horror to, you know, come close and help protect us. So this is looking like it's going to work out really well for us. And, like, yeah, it really does seem to be a toss of the coin, right? Oh, there's a Gortide. Because, I mean, we could have gotten hit. There's magic weapons on those sacreds. So, you know, like, yeah, I don't know. It could have easily gone the other way, but this time it worked out for us. Though we probably won't have caused all that many casualties. Yeah, we got the commander. That's definitely important. We got 13 of the sacreds. You know, I mean, like, there's still plenty of stuff here, but it got scattered. It's not going to be attacking our territory, you know, yada yada. It's still a good result. And then, right, these are our werewolves going up. So we should get a good roll. So we got a bunch of wolves. Or, yeah, our one werewolf. Many wolves. Yeah, good amount of province defense. This is not going to work. So, oh well. Does look like we're going to have to send more serious raiders against Xibalba. Probably, yeah, should have seen this coming. You know, you never really know. People are all over the map when it comes to the province defense they put in there. This is enough that, no, actually, it's going to show up more or less as the same as 6. But since Xibalba is so small, it's like, well, why wouldn't, you know, they don't have that many provinces. They don't have that many places to, like, put their gold. So probably much more likely that they're going to have some province defense. It does look like our werewolf escapes. So that's nice, at least. So, you know, we can put it in the win column. And then we have some lesser horrors attacking Shiniyama, who, this looks like it's just one lesser horror, yeah. It is at least an actual lesser horror, and not like the illusion like the air mages like to cast. But, yeah, what, we got routed? Wow. I didn't even know you could route horrors, but there you go. He took a hit, got a chest wound, and was like, nope, I'm not even getting paid for this. So that wasn't even that much province defense. It could have worked out. That was kind of a worse roll for our horror cast. This also does mean that we're probably going to lose a friar much later. We did start blood hunting in another province, so that's, well, it is what it is. And, yeah, I mean, so many battles. All right, I'm going to try to go through these quickly. I do need to see them. Okay, so the Wraith Lords look like they split. Yeah, here's one province defense. Guess how that's going to go? Not in our favor. This is Ulm doing some raiding with a single bird from his bird casting against one PD. You know, I don't actually know. I'm thinking it's got to go against the bird, right? But nope. Wait? Yeah, okay, so Ulm routed. That Frightened cast worked, I guess. So, yeah, that was an interesting one. So Asphodel holds on to that province against the Lone Great Hawk, though it was touch and go. There's some attack of ours. A werewolf. Right, yeah, we're attacking Shiniyama. We're expecting less province defense here because it's not actually on our border with Shiniyama. And I think this is our werewolf with the Vine Shield. Yeah, Vine Shield, Frostbrand, right? This is over. Except maybe the province defense commander, but well, let's just take a look. Yeah, our werewolf handles that. You know, Vine Shield, Frostbrand, pretty standard. Nothing too exciting there. I think he also has a Lion Pelt. These are our... They are ours, right? Yeah, these are our Bakemono, and they're up against some cavemen, and that should be fine. Cavemen do better in the cave, but not against the Bakemono. Yeah, so our Bakemono do the trick against Asphodel, and then we get attacked by Shiniyama somewhere. This is probably another Wraith Lord. Yeah, although in this case we do have an Initiate here, so let's see if Pillar of Fire versus Wraith Lord. Yeah, this is the problem with Pillar of Fire. I don't think he's on Advance and Cast spells either. Yeah, this is not good. And some of the skeletons are going around. Hey, yo, skeletons, no. Okay, so yeah. One Initiate versus a Wraith Lord does not work out. Though possibly Advance and Cast spells might help us because, yeah, Pillar of Fire is really dangerous, and I don't think Wraith Lords have any fire resistance. And then here we have a werewolf who's raiding a lot of province. This one is probably not going to work out. This is Bear Tribe. The gear on this guy is kind of questionable. Oh, wait, no, this is one of our Vine Shield guys. Never mind. I don't know, there's a lot of werewolves running around. This is mostly Aryu's kit that we're sending back at him. Ugh. Luckily, werewolves do regenerate. That is a really nice property. I know I say that, vanilla werewolves kind of suck, because they do. But, you know, the fact that they can regenerate up chip damage innately is a very nice trait to build on top of. And I think it helped us a lot here, because it was looking a little dicey there, but with the regeneration, I think we should come away with it. Although this PD commander is causing us problems. Just please get rid of him, werewolf. Alright, now we should be fine. So let's see. Yeah, that does work out for us. That was some sacred that probably routed from the magic phase attack, so almost tripped up our own rating. And then we have probably another werewolf. I think this is the one with the suspect kit. I mean, there's more than one, yeah, with some suspect kit out there. Oh, barbarians. Yeah, and I saw there was a bunch of witches in here. Not really sure what they're doing here. I feel like possibly this is just where they're getting recruited from, because there's a temple in this location. But yeah, we get absolutely slapped there. I don't think we have a retreat path either. So yeah, the questionable kit was questionable. Vine Shield, not optional. So that one doesn't work out for us. And yeah, killed when retreating into enemy territory. That does hurt. You know, that's the turn of our wolf cannon, plus some gems. Most of those gems were donated, or most of that gear was donated to us. We took control of Nazca because the Wraith Lords moved out, and then, you know, they can't leave province defense on top of our own province. And then let's see, this is Ulm. Yeah, he's got one of these Grey Lords raiding around. I don't know if we've seen... Ooh, he's a hero. Let's see, Tough Skin. Nice. That's a pretty good one for, you know, an armored knight to get. Yeah, he's just up against some wolf tribe, or, sorry, lion tribe. One of the tribes. Not going to be too relevant which tribe it is for that fellow. That should work out. Yeah, so, you know, fairly expensive thug from Ulm. We've talked about that before. But, you know, Ulm has the forges, so that's kind of their thing. This is Shiniyama. I'm assuming this is us. Yep. So we have one province defense here. This is probably the army that retreated, or maybe the army that defeated our raiders near their capital. But either way, they're taking a province from us, and we did not manage to predict where they were going. So, yeah, of course, that works out for them. And then we have some attacks. Not sure. Right, this is us trying to get rid of that Bakemono raiding group. And yeah, Shiniyama put some province defense in here, but certainly not like a massive dump in some of the other places they've been doing. I will say, like, more province defense on the border, I think, you know, has some merit. And it kind of seems like that's what Shiniyama focused on, right? They're like, okay, border provinces, I'm going to put a pretty significant amount of province defense. And yeah, like, I could kind of see that. So something to consider. This does work out for us. We do spend a good amount of gems on that. So, you know, I mean, yeah, we win, but it's not cheap. So it's not my favorite win. But hey, we got rid of that raiding group. Speaking of not favorites, not my favorite army. Yeah, and speaking of province defense dumps, this is another border province, and I think this might actually be, yeah, just a force of Bakemono as well. So a lot of our spells are coming out a bit late on this army because we're, stitching it together with some communion, and we got to summon various powers, and so I'm not even sure. Yeah, now we have Serpent's Blessing up, but we do not even have our protection buff up yet. And you can see it's like a lot of the battle has kind of already happened. So I think it's in like slot 4 of our script, / maybe it's not going off. Yeah, it appears to have not gone off, so we'll have to take a look at that. We have no protection buff. Oh, wait. Yeah, there we go. It went off quite late, so yeah, we're going to have to rethink that. I think it's because we used like Earth Power and Power of the Spheres, maybe some other ones. So we do eventually get the... Oh no, please stop with that, guys. The gifts from heaven. So anyway, there's not a whole lot here to oppose us other than the province defense. So I mean, and again, this is somewhat expensive for us. This definitely triggers gem usage. So, but this PD had really been causing us some problems, so I am pretty happy to get rid of it. Even if it does cost us quite a bit in gems, although troop-wise it costs us almost nothing. It does look like... Okay, no, there's a Bakemono General, so yeah, no real mage support here. These losses I don't think are super relevant for Shiniyama, other than the fact that, they're coming kind of hard and heavy. So, I think in a more back-and-forth war, losses like this, no big deal, but they may just not have the time, to resurrect these kind of forces. And then, of course, that is a good amount of gold to be losing in a P. Here's another Wraithlord friend. We do have another fellow here. Yeah, this is a Witch Hunter, so he's probably going to pop out a Fire Elemental. Though I don't know about the lone... Oh, no, he must have not had a gem. Yeah, see, and this is the problem. We're probably going to fatigue ourselves out. And yeah, we're just like doing banishment. And so yeah, I don't think this is going to work out for us. We need to think of a different strategy to get rid of these Wraithlords, because he's just going to sit back. Even though Wraithlords aren't like amazing undead summoners, like I think our guy either he routed or he died. So I think probably nature mages might be the way to go, like Ravenous Swarm, especially if we can get like a turn 1 Ravenous Swarm. I think that's going to be decently effective. Obviously, if we can soul slay some of these guys, right? Like what? It's only like, yeah, magic resistance 16. That's not that high. So we're gonna keep trying to soul slay them, because Ravenous Swarm is just gonna send them home. So let's see. Oh, that was an initiate. Oh, my mistake. I thought we had a Witch Hunter there, or maybe that was the wrong province. I'm assuming this is another. Yeah, the other Wraithlord. This guy's actually backtracking, I think. Yeah, so we had a Lich here. Yeah, he was... So, yeah, we're going to have some Skelly Spam on Skelly Spam action. This one I think we could win, although there's a pretty good chance it's going to go, like, really long. So we may not watch the whole thing. Yeah, here comes our Fire Elemental. Although, yeah, with our Fire Elemental and the Undead summoning, like, we should be able to... Come on, Fire Elemental. Well, we'll time it out. Yeah, we're on advance and cast spells, so maybe some Drain Lives. Yeah, there we go. So we'll see that Wraithlord again, definitely, but we at least sent one of them home, although his home is probably Shiniyama, which is like 2 provinces away. But still, we don't lose a province, so that definitely goes in the win column. And then, yeah, this is taking a province from our ally, and we didn't inform them of it. But, I mean, we don't actually, I think we do have a non-aggression pact. That's my bad. There is a lot going on, and like I said, there's really no reason that they would protest this. I would be happy to send them, gold and gems to make up for this, so I'll have to hit them up after this turn and let them know. I don't know what this... Oh, yeah, this is our reduced army, I think, going up somewhere, place. I think this is where we just fought where they had their force that defended our raiders next to Shiniyama. I think that's what this is. But anyway, there's only province defense here now. There's quite a bit of province defense. Maybe some of these Bakemono are probably included, but I don't think there's any way this works out. I don't think we'll lose much. Yeah, we don't lose anything. It does look like it does trigger gem usage, so that's always a bit sad. It's, I don't know. It is what it is. We do it, we have quite a few units here, so a lot of times it's just, if you don't have that many units in comparison to the enemy, then like it seems like that'll trigger gem usage. But I mean, I guess this is 145 units, so fair enough. I guess I'd be pretty upset too if we fought a ton of province defense and had a bunch of spells lined up and then lost a bunch of units but didn't use the gems. So it's a hard problem to solve. And then yeah, this is I don't know. I would say that it's a ping, but it's a ping that's gone wrong. Maximus has decided he wants in on the action, and it's not going to work out for him. So, not sure what happened there with Ulm. They probably just wanted to see what was in the province, and then forgot to script a retreat. I'm sure they have plenty going on as well. I think this is one of our own provinces that Ariu captured. They don't seem to like to bother putting province defense in our own provinces. And then let's see, we have a battle against Xibalba. Not actually seeing any attacks from Xibalba. I'm 99.9% sure that I got the timing right, because I definitely double checked it multiple times to make sure I wasn't jumping the gun here. And honestly, I would have been happy to just let them do their thing, but they're getting bored, so I figured, they ended the nap. They're the one that wants to fight. This is a standard fire elemental raid. I don't think Xibalba's PD commander is going to cause any issues above and beyond what we normally run into. Yeah, especially since he routed there. Although I do think he gets magic weapon. Yeah, so maybe actually a bit of a danger there. Although with the advancing cast spells, I do think it would have worked out for us. Even if he had not routed. So, fire elemental raiding. We know that it works. It works against Xibalba as well. And then some battle against a werewolf. Excellent. Right, the other werewolf. This is the one that doesn't have the vine shield. Yeah, that's a little more suspect. He does at least have a frostbrand and, the random flying shield. I forged that for our healer, because, the healer is really, really nice for us, but it's kind of it's just like a wasted kit. She's never going to use it in all likelihood. That was pretty scary. So Shinyama has a pretty serious PD commander. That almost did not work out for us. I think we picked up a limp. Yeah, crippled. So, we took the province at least, but that werewolf is going to be of limited utility in the future. And again, that kit kind of questionable, but it does work out for us. And then we get attacked by Ariu in some location. It's elves, so who knows? Ooh, this is serious. So this is more like the kind of mage commitment I was expecting, although I do know, actually, this is not on top of our fort, but this is probably planning on combining with all those sacreds that I felt, didn't really have enough mage support. And then this is probably their mage support. Now, yeah, and there's no sacreds here. So, and again, Ariu was not planning this war, so that's kind of the difficulty of trying to combine your forces, while in motion. Even though Ariu was in their own territory, it's just the enemy can mess that up, with magic phase attacks or, this, that, and the other. So I think this is probably near our fort that's in the cave, but not on top of it. Obviously, we just have one province defense that's able to take that. But I do think we should be able to push that away with the forces that we're bringing to that fort, which is important because not only do we need to defend that fort, we do eventually want to move against that throne that's near Ashdod. So we need our army in that location to be able to beat their army in that location. And then this is our main army, yeah, just moving forward. Nothing here from Asphodel. There was a stack of stuff here, kind of raiders, but it looks like they moved maybe into Nabah or maybe into a bordering province. So yeah, we are able to take that. Oh, we do lose a Soulless warrior. Yeah, from the Wind of Death casualties. Soulless they're not great, and they don't ever regenerate any health. So things are never going to improve for zombies. It's as good as they're going to get when they get raised, right? And this is our fellow that we're going to lose because he thought that this province would get taken by horrors. And I was lazy and didn't set him to retreat. Not that I think it would have mattered, because the bats fly, so they probably would have yoinked him anyway. Always sad to be losing friars, but, it's okay. It's not that much gold. And then a werewolf. Werewolves. So these guys are going to eat a mind hunt. Not a whole lot here. So yeah, this is overkill. But we kind of want to pull these guys out, right? Because again, they will get killed by those mind hunts. So we're either going to give them amulets of anti-magic, or we might just try to send them somewhere else where they're not going to get mind hunted. And then we get attacked in a location. Yeah, sounds like a cave. Oh, this is just a ping? Yeah, looks like this is just a ping. So yeah, this is our, mercenaries. I think I forgot to re-up our mercenaries. I'm not sure if their contracts expired this turn. It's fine. We have some non-mercenaries here as well. So anyway, that's just our force that's, the medium commitment, right? It's yeah, you want to cast Murdering Winter on that. That is totally, well, okay, but it's less painful than some of the other things that could eat that spell. But it's still enough to break the walls down. Speaking of breaking walls down, I believe this is the throne fort that man has been fighting with Asphodel for some time. There is a little bit of a defense in here, but yeah, speaking of mercenaries, these sylphs, extremely dangerous. So whatever plan Asphodel had, I imagine this was some kind of thug. But yeah, lightning, it's pretty scary, especially if you can fly in. So that's definitely going to work out for man. It's going to be relatively cheap. Yeah, they lose a few of the sylphs who are mercenaries anyway, so not such a big deal. And then a little bit of their chaff to the wall archers, no doubt. So yeah, things are looking a bit better for man, and hopefully they can now start to take some pressure off of us. You're hoping that not all of Asphodel's stuff comes at us. Although since we are the last knife, and I have fought this player before. They may decide that it's Marignon that should feel their full wrath, which would be totally acceptable. I would have no problem with that decision. I think that would be fair. It's not ideal, but fair. So this is a fort that we're trying to take from Shiniyama. There's not a whole lot in here. I think this is our main army. Yeah, this is that province. Who is Tianchi? No, Archocephaly held it for a long time. Then maybe Tianchi held it. Various people have held it. This is, the death Amazons that we've been talking about getting a hold of all game long. That I think we're finally now going to get a hold of. There's some archers here, a little bit of skelly spam. We are trying to jam infantry and such into the gap, which is not an ideal way to storm, but we do have some cavalry in here. I didn't really change the formation at all, breaking a lot of my own rules. But we do have enough stuff here that I think it's going to work out without too many casualties. This guy, yeah, not some sort of horrible thug for us to fail on. It does cast Living Fire, though. But we do have fire resistance. Yeah, we have magic weapons, so we should be okay here. So let's see. We do take some casualties. We burn out. This is the Initiate Communion. So I was using Witch Hunters, but then I realized that it's we were using the Crystal Matrices anyway so that we could get turn 1 Fog Warriors. And it's if I'm going to burn a mage out, let's just burn out the cheap mages, because neither of these guys have paths in air, so the air communion is equally bad for them. We also do manage to lose a witch hunter, probably to the wall archers. Yeah, they get the Daibakemono wall archers. Very nasty. Otherwise, our casualties are relatively light, though, yeah, we may need 1 or 2 turns to, kind of refigure out our communion situation. We're trying to use the dog-headed fellows for this, turn 1 fog warriors. They don't usually have air paths either, but they have more hit points, so more likely to survive. We do at least find the slave matrices, which is the most important thing. So, yeah, we should be able to move out in the not-too-distant future, and we do take a fort on our border, which is, pretty useful. We don't want to leave that in Yama's hands to cause us problems later. Right, this is one of our really diseased armies that's making an assault this turn against the Well of Pestilence province, and there's nothing really in here. This is just great news for Asphodel. They caused so much damage for so little investment. You really got to respect it. But we do at least take the fort, right? Yeah, and we don't lose too much. You're probably diseased anyway, so it's totally fine. Speaking of diseased units, here's our other army that Asphodel also kindly diseased for us. This time, at least, we're not just sitting on a Well of Pestilence province. There's nothing really in here. So it looks like that Falegra has decided they just want to hold their capital and, focus entirely on that, which is totally fine, right? When you're in the last stand situation, die in whatever manner you see fit, so I think this is totally reasonable. Although I don't know if we're going to bother going for Falegra. At the same time, if they ever do decide to move out, it's we really don't want to leave that in our back line, but also, yeah, eliminating Falegra is not high on our priority list. So I don't know. We'll have to think about what we're going to do for that. Right. Of course, we're losing troops to Asphodel's Global, one of which was a witch hunter. That's kind of sad. But still, only losing 9 units total. 22 were wounded. That's bad, but in the grand scheme of things, is that really worth worrying about? Probably not. So again, as we push deeper into Asphodel's territory, it's going to be more of a problem. We're also probably going to start losing friars, hiding and preaching inside of his territory in his dominion, or in their dominion. So Yeah, like that could be a problem where we can't really push our Dominion ahead of our advance, or at least roughly at the same speed as our advance, because we keep losing friars to this lightning. So we'll have to see about that. Of course, that's not the only way that Asphodel's striking out at us, right? I forgot about Burden of Time. I feel like every Full House game, Burden of Time arrives eventually. One of these days, I'm going to play a nation that is not a bunch of old human men in robes, and then I can just ignore Burden of Time completely. But, if you've watched this channel before, Burden of Time is painful, but probably something you should just live with. I don't know. I could be wrong on that, but that's how I feel at this moment. Hey, we get some extra defense. That's nice because we have a bunch of misfortune, and we get rid of some free thinkers. No room for that in Marignon. And a goat herd found some fire gems. Good work, goat herd. And then we patrol out a ton of stuff. This looks like an attempt to sneak like some sort of army on top of some sort of fort location. This is probably just a scout. Yeah, so we patrol out a scout somewhere. I think this is our original throne, with the crystal mages. And then, so we find a bard on top of Marignon. Maybe this is just a stack of bards. Let's just roll through these. Yeah, bard. Yeah, I'm pretty sure these are all bards. So bards are spies. We've talked briefly before about that. You get additional information, which we've talked about a decent amount. This is definitely an attempt to instill an uprising. So the other thing they can do is like they get an extra command, probably instill uprising, and it generates unrest in that location. And if you get the unrest over 100, then your opponent cannot do any recruitment in that fort, assuming you're doing it in a location where there's a fort, which is probably usually where you should be doing it, although if you also lose income, right, due to unrest. So if there's some really valuable province that isn't forted, you could move a stack of bards into it and then, wreck it. So this is Ariu trying to move on top of our capital to wreck it, but we do have patrollers. Again, patrollers. It is important. So hopefully they don't have a retreat route, in which case, this is pretty expensive because these guys are actually mages. I mean, they're cheap mages, but still, hopefully they have, hopefully for Ariu, there's a retreat route open. They definitely have been raiding around our territory a bit, but I mean, obviously, we've been counter raiding, so I don't actually know if they have a retreat route open. We finished a fortification somewhere. That's useful. This is the place where we were thinking it wouldn't be so bad to get hit with Murdering Winter, so we breached that fort. We'll see how Asphodel reacts to that. They may have moved out from Nabah, or they may not have, so we'll see. And then some patrolling, and I'll catch you guys after the jump. Alright, this is the situation and what we're doing about it. This is the maximum zoom level, and as you can see, we have almost connected our territory north to south, which I happen to notice. It's not that important, but it's kind of a nice thing. There's also a lot of people in chat thinking that Marignon has this, and we'll see about that. Related to whether or not Marignon has this, I think I have found Yis's Doom Stack, which was not where I was hoping it would be over here. I think it's been hiding in plain sight the whole time. Atlantis has jumped on top of Pelagia's capital, so it does look like Yis is going to let Atlantis finish this off, and they've been working on this fort. Now, we don't know 100% that their sacreds are there, but just the way Yis has been moving and, how many troops are there, this is probably the full stack that has now taken this fort. And, they're 2 provinces away from Bandar Log, so we could be seeing an attack shortly in our future. You never know with underwater players, or really players in general. We have definitely hit the point in the game where player morale is flagging, my own included. These turns can be pretty daunting, so I think at this point not everybody is fully committed. So we'll see what Yis chooses to do, but we are trying to shift some stuff over, right? So let's start talking specifics. So desperate defense of Bandar Log. We have a decent number of mages there. It's not like we left nothing behind. We don't have a lot in the way of troops, so we're trying to shift some of that stuff over. We're just going to storm here with only the mercenaries, because not really sure what's inside. We're not renewing the mercenaries' contracts. If they take it, great. If they don't, that's also fine. I'm kind of expecting to get attacked here, but then again, maybe not, because this army is maybe still locking this in position. But we're not even going to bother jumping on top of Nabah. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't really, there's no plan for that, really. We are recruiting a lot more troops, and we'll probably have to gateway something in if Asphodel does decide to move forward. We are moving forward a bunch of witch hunters, I think. Yeah, so the plan is, like, sure, witch hunters, and we have a stack of flagellants, a couple knights, so we'll figure something out, but at least for the moment, like I said, we're going to want to wait for summer before we actually try to take Nabar. And then in terms of where this army is going, I'm figuring, well, let's just jump on top of Shiniyama's capital with it. So I don't think Shiniyama's going to come out because we have this army here, so they're probably expecting us to jump on top of it. We're not going to do that because this force does not actually have Serpent's Blessing in it, and it does have a decent chunk. Yeah, it's probably mostly like non-sacred units, so this is actually kind of a dangerous army. The Lizard Shaman Communion, I don't think, can quite pull it off, unfortunately. We may also not have the gems for it. So anyway, we're going to dodge to the side, maybe wipe out whatever these foul spawn are, maybe catch all these Bakemono who are possibly like coming, to try to reinforce the capital. Werewolves are raiding or sneaking around, of course, and then we're pushing forward with this really messed up, diseased army. And this one's in pretty rough shape. We're going to lose like a lot of important magic support, but I also don't think it's going to face all that much resistance. So kind of the plan is to take this army, and sweep out a path roughly like this towards the throne. And then also with this army, sweep out a similar path kind of next to it, possibly stopping on top of Tianqi, right, to storm that. Or maybe just leaving, a force in place. We also have this force that's actually going to sidestep for the most part down into here and try to lock down this fort sooner rather than later. We want to lock down like as many forts as possible. Like I said, at this point, Shiniyama is probably the last player that we're going to knock out, and then from there we're just going to go straight, for thrones. We are throwing our other mercenaries at Shiniyama's, well, actually, no, this is Tianqi, but a capital that Shiniyama has. I don't, they're probably not going to do that well. Well, we gave him flaming arrows. We have like some diseased grandmaster. Considering how much Shiniyama has been investing in province defense, this probably won't work, but, you never know, and we'll at least know like what's on there. And again, those mercenaries are also expiring, and I just didn't bother to rebid on them. We're doing a bit of troop recruitment down here. Yeah, kind of our normal stuff, just rounding things out. And then on the Ariu front, of course, mostly just raiding. I think these are fairly standard raids. Yeah, okay, this is a little heavier. But yeah, I'm sure there's some werewolves and such in here. This is kind of interesting. We're kind of hoping to just drag this Wraith Lord along our border with Ariu. Ariu, of course, can just sneak through it, so it's not that big a deal, but it will be diplomatically a bit awkward for them to move through this territory, so I don't know how much it's really going to matter, but basically just we want to sow like a lot of chaos around here because this is where we're planning on moving through eventually once we manage to get this army together. And I think, yeah, we're pulling out some mages, hopefully, yeah, and hopefully also more than this. Yeah. Ouch, it looks like possibly I didn't finish scripting this. Ariu doesn't have access to a ton of foul vapors. Yeah, you see this mage is still set to retreat. There's no gems on this army, so yeah, this was unfinished. And the thought here is that, we don't want Ariu's army to get loose, like deep in this territory, deep in our territory. So from this position, like we might block his attack, and we can also chase if need be. I think this is also where we're dropping our Horror Harmonica Golem. Let's see, yeah, second forest. So hopefully this won't be a problem for us, right? We'll get rid of it in the magic phase. But considering how many mages are there, like we have some shock resistance on this guy, but we definitely didn't, fully kit him out, yeah, for shock resistance. So there's a lot of mages in this stack. But otherwise, it's not like too scary, so probably even unscripted will do okay. I don't know, we'll see. Definitely would be better if they had gems and they got scripted. So probably next turn we'll jump back into this fort to reorganize and actually get some gems. But this will be the army that we move for this throne up here. We are moving in, quite a few friars and a werewolf. So yeah, friars are on the move. Werewolves are on the move. We have a stone idol. Yeah, it's on the way. Friars aren't particularly fast. So that's something to consider. We also have, various mages. We are still kind of lacking in some areas, and especially now, there's a good chance that Yis hits us. Probably should have tried to move some mages out here and there. But we are getting like a little low. I'm figuring that if Yis does attack, they'll probably bring out another stack from their capital. So I'm a little hesitant to get too low on mages. Like we'll need mages for an army as well. Speaking of that, doing more recruitment, a few crossbowmen, that is questionable. But, yeah, we'll at least force out the arrow fend, but Yis has a lot of air, so I'm not even sure it's like worth forcing it out. But we're recruiting them, so we'll have them. We'll also have plenty of undead. Speaking of undead, I noticed that we finally got an air death random here from this province, and then that triggered me to remember to look down here. Yeah, we've had an air death random for I think only 2 turns, something like that, not too long. So we're moving. We might we're not abandoning this fort, but like I said, we might not be able to stop a push from Asphodel. So we're gonna pull this mage out, but then we're gonna start doing corpseman constructions here on Bandar Log to hopefully help us out if Yis does attack us in this location. We'll probably do corpseman constructions in both of these locations, though we are a little low on air gems. Having fog warriors in every single army is a bit on the rough side. It's not cheap operating all these stacks, definitely. So some question about how cost effective this all is, but it is winning fights, so there is at least that. And then, of course, the Xibalba situation. So we'll see. They actually consolidated everything, which I was a little surprised about, and we didn't get raided all that much. Yeah, I was kind of expecting more stealthy bat groups, and I mean, they can be recruited in all forests and caves. Then again, I mean, the bat troops are really not very good in actual combat, so, maybe they're just hoping to double down on the frog troops, and it does kind of look that way. For one final glorious, last stand, which we do plan on giving to them. So we're just going to hold out here for now, but we'll have the other half of our stack moving here, which is hopefully going to be patrolling. Yeah, okay, good. It's going to be patrolling because we're also hoping to catch a Wraith Lord. One of these guys is going to get mine hunted. But there's a pretty good chance that they'll escape. We're also trying to move up a few other mages. We'll see, basically double down and add more fire elementals and a few extra things. And we'll see. I mean, they are just unkitted skelly spammers, so we should be able to overwhelm them with enough fire evocations and fire elementals and maybe a few troops. So yeah, I'm not sure how many. It's an uneven deployment in these various provinces. So we have some attempts. We'll see whether or not they're successful. And I think that is the majority of it. We are doing some forging. I think we're going to move our pretender somewhere. Yeah, here he is. So he's going to cloud trapeze over to Old Man Mountains, and this is partially to push our Dominion, because our Dominion is in fairly decent shape here. There's actually a couple of provinces that's not so great in. May have some false prophets hiding away in there, but that's fine for the most part. The Dominion situation is stabilized here, and I also feel like we probably control this area enough that it's safe enough for our pretender to go there. So he'll help push the Dominion, and of course he's going to be able to get forge bonus there. So there are a few other artifacts that I've been thinking about forging. We'll see if we actually go through with it, but we'll have that option available to us. Speaking of forging, we're doing a bunch of forging. A lot of this is to support our corpseman construction. You can tell how prepared I was because we don't have the gear. We have the artifact, but only the artifact. So, yeah. I'd honestly kind of just given up on getting that random, and then that's, of course, when you get the random. Otherwise, we do have some thug kit and maybe some super combatant kit in here. I guess I didn't really talk about this army. It's going to hang out, do some site searching, some preaching, maybe research a little bit, and then we split out all the diseased units, of which there are quite a few. Right? So, this is the stuff that is dying, and it's being led by this fellow. Probably will want to send actually somebody who's still alive or, will stay alive so that this army doesn't end up with, no commanders. Because, even though, everything there is dying, it's still actually a lot of units, but I just kind of wanted to get the disease units out of there and, use them somewhere. I'm honestly not 100% sure where it will go, probably on top of this fort of Shiniyama's, but also, we're somewhat interested in this territory from Asphodel. Actually, this fort would be kind of nice, because, we don't really see any fort construction going on. Like, obviously there's no fort here, but there's also no construction. Now, this is in Asphodel's cap circle, and they also have another fort. Well, okay, it doesn't actually connect. That's interesting. But it's at least close by, and there's pretty large stacks in both of these, so they will be able to respond. But if like we sneak units in, or like fly units in, or teleport units in, and take the province, and then magic phase a fort on top of it, we might be able to snipe this throne, as a final claim. Now that said, it wouldn't surprise me if Asphodel started a fort construction here, and actually we probably should send a werewolf, or multiple werewolves. We should send stuff over there to try to cancel the fort construction, because we haven't really been putting any pressure in that area, and until recently there were some whites hanging out there, but obviously Asphodel's under a lot of pressure, so it looks like they've moved out. So anyway, wasn't really planning on that throne being part of our push for the thrones, but at this point, any 8 thrones will do. And then, this army is just going to hang out. Not really sure what Phlegra is going to be doing. They haven't moved out yet, obviously, so we'll see. Especially removing the diseased units. We may pull the units from Old Man Mountains here in to reinforce this army, especially once we solve the Xibalba situation, and we're sure that that's not going to be an epic failure, as sometimes happens. And with these reinforcements, I think this army will probably be enough. But the other thought that crossed my mind is we do have this fellow hanging out, and I do think that in some ways this is going to be pretty challenging to super combatant, right? The 5 huge white mages is a big deal. And there's also a lot of mage support. So, we haven't really seen Phlegra make great use of their mages so far, I feel like, in combat. But basically, there's enough dangerous stuff here that sending in a super combatant would be pretty risky. On the other hand, there is so much garbage here that it might actually shield us, depending on the build that we set up. I was also thinking that possibly a Phoenix Pyre Thug might be decent in this case, with the assumption that it's okay, we probably will die, but if we really focus on fatigue, reinvigoration, and then just make it difficult for us to be killed, add some luck, have decent armor, coupled with the fact that there's going to be so much chaff in the way that isn't going to be that good. The mages are the wild cards, because there's obviously spells that are fairly long range that can really cause us problems. But interestingly, Phlegra, despite having communions, they don't really have much in the way of astral. So as long as we have decent elemental resistances, and decent protection, and then good fatigue recovery for when the white mages get lucky and kill us, I think that might be able to time the battle out and at least cause a lot of casualties. I don't know. We'll see. This may be a crazy idea. And then related to that, if we don't use this fellow in that madness, and maybe even if we do and he succeeds, I think a thug is probably going to be the way to deal with this throne. I don't know. We'll see. I do think we can get enough shock resistance to deal with the Watchers. It'll be a challenge, but you can get your shock resistance up pretty high, and it's just the Watchers and the Monolith. But the Monoliths usually have pretty good paths. I forget this one specifically, but they're pretty dangerous as spellcasters, especially when you get close. But nothing here can retreat, right? So I'm almost thinking that, giving our guy a ton of shock resistance and then setting him up so that he can't really kill anything, and then he hopefully just gets stuck on the Watchers, because a lot of the spells that the Monolith uses that are really dangerous are point blank, so we kind of don't want our guy going toe-to-toe with the Monolith, although in some ways, again, Phoenix Pyre might be a good choice here, because if we're just super resistant to shock, and then periodically the Monolith kills us, the advantage is that we are a Berserker, so if we time out the battle and they can't retreat, then I think everybody just dies. But that probably warrants a little bit of testing, because I have not tried a lot of tricks like that. So anyway, some thoughts on the throne situation. And then let's see, as far as research goes, Evo 9, we talked about that. Yeah, we've talked about all this. We'll see. We'll get Blood 7 at least. Although in some ways we may not want to go too heavily into vampires. I think we need Blood 8 for the instant fort. Yeah, blood level 8, 3 red seconds. This will, create a citadel in the magic phase. The other one is in Earth. At least the other one that I know of that's easily accessible as well, somewhat easily accessible to us. So Wizard's Tower, 50 Earth gems. That's probably the one that we'll go for since we already have the research for it. But yeah, it is important if the plan is to magic phase a fort in for one of the final thrones that you can actually do that. So confirmed we can. And I think that more or less covers turn 71.